basically coming back to getting on the playlist and rotation. Of course it matters. Of course it still matters. You don't go in at number 3 in the English charts if you haven't had exposure at all. We also were very lucky that Tiesto took up the tune. He didn't do it because we were known superstars. He did it because it was a great commercial house track. The same with Moby. Moby opened up the Electronic Daisy Festival, one of the biggest electronic festivals, with Infinity last year. The reaction was so incredible that he just put it back to start and played it again. 200,000 people coming every day to YouTube as well to see it. You know, if you still have a great tune and the backing of professional people, you can still break into the music business. Thanks a lot, guys.
And it's a great tune, yeah. I mean, well done, Guru, Joss, and Infinity. Fantastic stuff. I'm just thinking, did Radio 1, I mean, Tim, and you know, you had it. Did Radio 1 put it on Radio 1 because Pete Tong and Specialists were playing it, or did they put it on because 5 million people were looking at it on YouTube?
YouTube.
It was the YouTube thing, so, you know, the promotion merry-go-round, really, did it matter?
Kind of tore up the rule book, really.
Tore up the rule book, so, you know, it was the YouTube thing, it's the new technology, it was a slamming video. People liked it, fantastic tune, of course, support from Tiesto. But, you know, you didn't have to go through someone like IMD, you know, to service it to a million DJs to play it. You know, you had Moby and you had Tiesto and you had 5 million people on YouTube with a slamming video. Radio 1 could hardly say no, right? Did you actually service it through all the normal channels as well?
Yeah, we did the traditional route to radio, yeah.
But
nothing's changed.
But was that key? Or not key, really?
I don't know. You know, we got specialist players, obviously, but by that point, the record was well and truly out there.
It was really rocking already. And what about in America? Is it working?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the Guru Josh. It's been #1 on the dance singles page on iTunes for about almost a month now.
Is it going to cross over into mainstream?
American radio is a little bit old school. It needs a bit of more of a song structure. We're doing really well in dance radio. To cross over to top 40, it takes a little bit more of a. Pop records are a little different in America, so I think it's got a great chance. But as a top 40 record, I'm not sure.
You know, I mean, someone. You know, I keep thinking of Deadmau5. You know, I kind of love what he's done. You know, he just kind of came from nowhere, didn't follow any rules whatsoever, you know, and has built up this head of steam and doing great. But now he's just signed to a major label. So, are major labels relevant?
Well, he's on Ultra in America.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's on Virgin in the UK, multiple deal, 360 deal. Does he need that? Or could he just continue his own little route? Tim? Again?
I don't know about Deadmau5.
No?
I can't comment on that, no.
It's a man who has a mouse on his head.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I think there's a whole different motivation for the 360 deal with Deadmau5. I don't think that's, you know, I think it's a little bit more behind the scenes than there's a straight up deal for a major.
Yeah, but he seemed to, you know, seemed to be a kid in Canada in a bedroom, and all of a sudden, you know, he didn't seem to follow any rules. You know, is this the way forward for all the new artists? Is this how we find our superstars?
Depends what you're trying to achieve. I know, you know, the Tiesto deal for the next album's floating around, and the new management are shopping it globally. They're trying to do a worldwide deal with a major for him, and you know, they I guess they're trying to see that as a way to break him as a bigger artist. Mm-hmm. But so, whether that's the right thing to do or not, I don't know.
So, is Deadmau5 a pop artist now? I mean, is it, again, I want to come to that question. No, are major labels relevant? How many major labels are in this audience? Anybody? No, came the reply. Not one major label in here. So, do we need major labels? Do we? Are they dinosaurs? Are they Spice Girls and nothing else? I mean, I know that if some major label came to me and they said, "Here's a ton of money," I'd sign it. You know, so you know, I love major labels. I love their money. Is everyone saying major labels not relevant for anyone here? Or do we want the major labels checkbook?
They're definitely relevant.
Checkbook, but control of that their checkbook.
For us, it's really important because being from Denmark, you have to have something that's really different to make it outside of Denmark. And the way we see things, we kind of like build it up in the underground and by blockings, and then we try to, it's still relevant just to comment on, for us to have like Pete Tong play the record, it could keep the bus, and with a lot of blockings into the YouTube position, then you have more and more on your agenda to sell it to like a major, so it becomes more interesting. Like Deadmau5, he gave away a lot of his tracks for free in the beginning, but I think he's probably knew what he wanted to do in the end. And I think it is relevant, and for us it's like, as I said before, shifting from position 7, and if you go with a major and you have a really good feeling and a good sense of you're going to be part of a team that believe in the record and who can actually take it to I think they can take it to a next level.
Yeah. I mean, the question of A&R, I mean, are we all A&Ring and thinking, okay, we're going to spend X amount of money and we're at this level, and so we're going to, cut our cloth to suit, what the exposure is financially, and we're thinking we're going to sell to here, but we want that parachute that if something reacts, we want the big guy to come and jump in on top of us then. Yeah?
Yeah, maybe. I think, there's a general realisation and a more of a kind of can-do attitude from independent labels, and realisation that they can actually do it themselves and have hit a record on their own without the major. And, they might need a major in different ways, and it's, going back to what I was saying about our deal with EMI Music Services, it's, we use them for distribution and marketing support. On certain projects, and outside of that we do everything ourselves. So it's kind of, it's a transitional period in the way that the independents work and operate, and the way they have the relationship with the major labels.
Anyone in the audience anything to say? Okay. I can hear you, love.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need normal promo, so Beatport is only relevant. However, are you privy to the information? Okay, thanks. Are you privy to the information of how many industry artists are actually buying the Beatport singles as opposed to consumers?
I think Beatport consumer is generally a DJ or gonna be a DJ or wanna be a DJ or is a DJ. It's not someone who walks into a shop generally, you kind of almost know that your consumer is going to be a DJ. Ordinary folk who go to the club, I don't know if they go to Beatport for sales. I think it's DJs who go there. I mean, am I right?
I think there is. If you speak to Beatport, there is a big percentage of their sales that are just fans, clubbers. It's not all DJs, bedroom DJs, right the way through. So there is. We work with UK. We know there is a relevance to PR, but a certain relevance. You know what I mean? We can't. Times have changed. It's not about this hype process and then you release the record. It's very reactive, but if we're going to use PR, it's about building an artist's profile. If I take a punt on an artist that I want to develop, I work with Kate to build the artist. But I know the real development of that artist, if I get him to #1 on Beatport, that's when his bookings will start and so on and so forth. Yeah, you need the peripheral aspect of what Kate does, and that is very important. But I've seen artists I've signed to the label instantly. Things kick off for them if they start #1 on two, #1, #2, and consistently on Beatport. That's the key objective from a club level.
Okay, I guess as a business tool as well for label like Toolroom, it's a good way to provide a comfort zone for potential licensors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you've got a top 10 on Beatport, then your licensing income probably increases, right?
Well, that's it. I mean, I don't know how it works, but if you're putting together a compilation, where would your first port of call be? Okay, this week's big records are so and so. I'll put these on the comp. I would imagine there's a large degree of that goes on. So it is key for us to get that, to that point.
So okay. So that's our first port of call: sign a record and get it in the top 10 of Beatport. Tom?
Well, not always. Depends. It depends. It's slightly different what Tim's doing to what I'm doing as a club level. Yes, for us because it supports what we do as a brand. But if you're approaching the record in a different way.
I was just saying it's a good thing. If you've got that tool there as a business and you use it, you can increase your revenue. Then great.
Tom, you've got something from the digital
out
world.
There in Beatportal land. This is quite a meaty question. Do you think some people, labels, artists, buy their tracks to get into the charts?
Oh.
Back to that old.
They used to do at the majors.
It's funny actually. I had one of our artists said to me just recently. He said, "I've got a new record coming out. Will you give me €3,000 and I'll go buy the record?" I said, "I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I'm not sure if it is or not, but." Has anyone heard of this happening?
I see it on iTunes all the time in America.
It's happening, yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure it happens.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course it does.
Anyone guilty of that on here?
It happens digital.
People labels are buying their own records to put them in the top 10?
No.
Yeah, that's happening. Come on, who's doing it? Come on, put your hands up. Anyone doing that? I want to know. I see some labels constantly at number 1 and number 2. Come on, is this how you're doing it? I ain't got the money to do it, so I know it's not me. Anyone? Mark, you doing that?
No. It's not a bad idea, though. I want to get on that.
We at Music with Dreams would never do it, because if you start to do stuff like that, then you create a balloon and that's going to burst into absolutely nothing. You create something that's just nothing.
Well, I don't know. If it's number 1, then does that encourage lots of other people to go buy it because it's number 1, then it does generate revenue. I don't know.
The reality is, though,
I think normal people are not stupid, and I think if they listen to a track, they can hear if it has to be number 1 or not.
It's different between that and as opposed to being number 11 and having to buy maybe a dozen or 100 to pop into the top 10, because once you're in that top 10, it's a whole different ballgame, because people look to that top 10 chart and they automatically listen to it as opposed to being number 11.
So that's the future then. Put some marketing budget aside to go buy your records and put it in the top 10 at Beatport. Okay. We all agreed with that? Anything else from cyberspace?
Yes, got a great one here. Do electronic music artists actually really need labels anymore? Or can they do everything by themselves, perhaps just management, and bypass everybody on this table?
No, good question. Does anyone need a record label? Are record labels relevant?
Most artists aren't marketing people. Most artists don't write Java. Most artists, aren't specialists in getting on Beatport. If they're good artists, they're hopefully good artists. Now, some of them are as smart as everybody else about marketing, but not every one of them. So I think you can't answer that as a general question. Are there some artists that are smart? Yeah. Did Moby have to have some help? Yeah, he needed it.
Well, it wasn't my question, but it's a question from cyberspace. Does anyone need a record label? Are we relevant?
I think we are, and I think it's if you have an artist and you can become part of a team that has a great experience or you are innovative or proactive, I think you can make that record bigger. And with your networking and your connections, you can actually make something bigger. And if you are on a good football team,
it also depends on what your final goal is. If your goal is to have Tiesto play your record and just to be a great club producer, then you might not need it. But if you want to take it to another level and actually get exposure as an artist,
I think it's also cool to be with cool labels. I've seen Mark there from Wall of Sound, and there's millions of labels. Artists would love to be associated with Wall of Sound. It's cool. It's super cool. So I think that still plays a part as well.
Can I just add that I represented Deadmau5 and did that deal with Virgin, and just to move on, just to go back a bit to what you were saying, is that it is all about just taking things to the next level to where you want to go. Obviously the deal we got, it was pretty lucrative, but ultimately I think there was a feeling that he'd been really successful, but it's got to a point where you need something more to go on to that higher levels.
Is it simply a checkbook? Is it simply he needs cash to drive him into the popular culture?
No, it doesn't. I think.
Don't look behind you.
I think to be fair that he. you know, they had done a lot of that themselves, you know, and I think, you know, it was to almost to give them the financial ability to continue doing that in
I mean, does Dead Mouse want to compete with, you know, Girls Aloud? And, you know, I mean, is this it? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I mean, he wants to be number one. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is that why he's...
I can't answer that.
Well, why is it with Virgin then? If he doesn't want to compete there, why bother?
No, well, it is to make him obviously a bigger and bigger artist, you know. And you know, you do need. I think there's a certain level that you can take things to.
Are we going to see him on something like Celebrity Big Brother in the future?
in the head.
No,
Right,
I mean,
okay,
you know, I mean, is this where we want dance artists to go? Do want them to be mega stars and presenting Britain's Got Talent and God knows what else? I mean, you know, why is it just for the cash? I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, give me the cash, I'll sign tomorrow.
As a human being, you know, obviously, you know, it's an incentive, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, but the primary motive is obviously to move to the next level.
Yeah. The artists we work with, they definitely have to have ambitions, and it's not a matter of the cash book or the check or whatever. I think it's a matter of trying to build the artist into being something that can work on a globally level.
Yeah, I think you know, I mean, one of the question that we're going to pose at the end of this, I don't know if our time's running out or not right now, is going to be, you know, does dance music need major labels? And on one hand, I'm hearing no. On the other hand, I'm hearing yeah. Dead Mouse, if I want to be big, I need to have that cash from the major. Mark, you're shaking your head. Go on, what have you got to say? Nothing.
Sorry. Come round. I think major labels are still relevant if you have an artist or if you have a record that can commercially break globally, and they can bring something to a project that an independent or you can't do yourself. It's as simple as that. That's what they're great at. What I worry about with Dead Mouse signing to a major record company is they all love the idea of having something cool. You know, they like that on their agenda at some point because it readdresses the balance of why they have a Girls Aloud or why they have a mega selling X Factor winner. Yeah. And they just feel like they have to readdress that balance at a point. Mm-hmm. My worry for artists like Dead Mouse or, you know, an artist we're trying to sign like Aeroplane at the moment, where every major record company now we've created that energy of credibility and cool, is that they won't know what the fuck to do with the record. If it doesn't break or make that communication within the first X months of a record, they don't care about having spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds in taking it to a certain place, giving the artist an advance. It will be gone. And that can kill somebody's career. Because there's no way back for most people after one of those deals.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if Water Sound, for example, you know, that'd be a nice home for someone like Dead Mouse, because, you know, you're going to nurture it for a long, long time, you know.
Talk to me.
But, you know, is Virgin literally, they're in it, I want some cool, it doesn't work, fuck it, you know, on to the next. I mean, that's what happened with punk, you know, this is what happened with lots of genres in the past.
There are some major labels that have some good people that can understand it and convince you, I mean, you know, that it can work. I just, you know, it has to be the right record and for the right reasons.
And last year we talked a lot about Groove Armada's Bacardi deal. Is that still on? I mean, are people still going down that route? Are Bacardi or these brands out of the game again? Have they lost interest? I mean, what's going on there? No?
So can I just pick up on just what Mark just said then about major labels killing the artists, and I do accept that happens, but that's all about how you structure your deal. The actual way we structured the Dead Mouse deal shouldn't allow that to happen, because we control, the management companies still have a big control over the way
we shall reconvene here 1 year from now and hear how Dead Mouse is working out.
Well, the truth is, when you run a major label, you're running Heathrow Airport, you know, and there's a takeoff slot, and it's only so long. There's 3 planes in a row behind you. You're running a smaller independent company. You don't have that many planes to take off. You take more time to make sure that it's not only filled up and cleaned out and what